Okay.
All right.
All right.
Let's get some
Let's
buckets.
get some buckets.
There we go.
There we go.
Are you going to copy everything I say for the whole
Everything I
podcast?
said, the whole podcast.
So am I breaking the news?
So am I breaking the news?
You really want me to do that?
No.
Okay. Kyle has breaking news. Go.
Breaking news. Perry Jones III held a press conference today and has declared that he will not go into the NBA draft and he will return for his sophomore season at Baylor University.
I figured that was worth a clap.
Probably worth a clap.
For those of us that don't know, who is Perry Jones and why is this important?
Perry Jones was a surefire top 5 draft pick in this year's NBA draft. He was a McDonald's All-American, second team All-American or All-American freshman this year, and everybody expects him to go to the draft. He has to serve a 5-game suspension to start next year for some things that you don't want to get me started on. And it's important because he is Baylor's most talented player, and he will be returning to play for Baylor again.
Yeah, so if you're a Baylor fan, you got to be feeling good today, right? Because now your team looks like you've gone from maybe a middle-of-the-pack Big 12 team, upper middle of the pack, to you're kind of a contender now if everything plays out how you want it to.
A lot of it this year is going to come down to Scott Drew's ability to coach and to get these guys to play defense because all the pieces are there, and there's really no excuse this year.
How long does his contract run through? Do you know?
I don't. We signed him to an extension after the Elite Eight run, which we should have. He deserved an extension, I guess.
Right.
But, I mean, it's got a few more years on it, and he deserves – I mean, he's brought in the talent that he deserves another chance after having a year like this past year.
You know what he needs to do? Get y'all off Adidas and get you into Nike.
That's a very good point.
Even VCU wears Nike. Come on.
Hey, sick 'em. Even our women's team wears Nike, actually.
Yeah, and your football team.
Our baseball team wears Under Armour, though.
See, y'all are all over the map. I don't understand how that works.
Well, I think what happened with the men's basketball was no one wanted to be associated with us after we had a player kill another player. So we jumped on the first offer we got, and it must have been Adidas.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Okay, since Perry Jones decided he's coming back, we've decided to talk today about more people that are coming back and making this NBA draft pretty weak this year. Maybe the most surprising name was Jared Sullinger, who, by all accounts, could have been the number 1 pick, the best freshman in basketball, just maybe not a lot more upside than he already has. Like, a lot of people didn't see the reason for going back to school, but what do you think this does for, I guess, college basketball with all these kids coming back to school?
I think it's great for college basketball. It will Ohio State, and then with Harrison Barnes at North Carolina saying he's coming back, it will put recognizable stars with elite basketball teams. And I think it'll help the kind of common fan, not the person that reads every college basketball article, but the person that keeps up with some records here and there type thing. I think it'll help them get more involved in the game because they'll know who's playing for these teams year in and year out with these very good freshmen returning.
The side effect of this is that this year's NBA draft was already weak to begin with and now lost potentially 3 of its best players. 3 of its top 5 picks. I mean, that's not good.
If there's one person that's benefiting from this, actually there's a lot of people, a lot of college basketball players are benefiting from the fact that all of theyese guys are returning. Jimmer Fredette, Kemba Walker, any of those guys who were expected to be late lottery picks or anything like that have kind of moved up just because there's not as much talent ahead of them anymore.
Yeah, and then I guess instead of this year's draft, a lot of people are now looking to next year's draft, which is going to be potentially very loaded with the likes of Perry Jones, Jared Solinger, Harrison Barnes, and then all the stud freshmen from this coming year, which Michael Gilchrist, Anthony Davis, just a ton of great names. So if you have 2 first-round picks, unfortunately for the Cleveland Cavaliers, this year is not the year to do it.
Yeah, they're really not going to get the star that it seems like they need out of this draft class. It doesn't look like. They could still get a couple good pieces, but it's definitely not what they had in mind going into this year, thinking we're going to end up with these 2 very high draft picks.
And on the other side of that, the Clippers, who traded their pick to the Cavs, are looking like geniuses right now. Because, some people questioned it just because it was potentially the 8th pick, and you did have the names like Perry Jones, and you had some, after probably about 5, it was iffy, but you had some nice starters. But now they look like geniuses for giving that pick away and getting Mo Williams back.
Yeah, it was a good deal for the Clippers at the time because they didn't need any more youth. They needed someone with a little experience, but it looks even better now that there's not going to be anyone fall into where they would have been drafting. It's worth their time.
All right. Baseball season has started for those that are a little behind the game. And to talk about it, Kyle's going to talk about the Rangers for a little bit.
Well, Rangers are off to a 9-1 start and play again tonight. Actually, excuse me, they already played today. They play tomorrow at Detroit, where C.J. Wilson will be pitching, looking to move them to 10-1. But really, the Rangers, their pitching staff was what was in question coming into the year. Losing Cliff Lee, not necessarily a healthy pitching staff, but just to throw out some stats at you, the Rangers are first in ERA, quality starts, walks and hits per inning, and opponents' batting average. Opponents are hitting less than 200 against the Rangers. Rangers are only giving up 2.5 runs per game. Their pitching staff has been dominant. And then with the bats, they're in the top 10 in every major category, including first in slugging percentage. So if for some improbable way they can keep this up, they will definitely be the best team in baseball.
Yeah, they're off to like a real blazing start here. A few other teams that are, I guess, surprising in the way they started that I don't think a lot of people had pegged as great teams. The Cleveland Indians, after starting 0-2, are now 7-2. The Baltimore Orioles are 6-3, and the Kansas City Royals are 6-3. These are 3 teams that traditionally dwell towards the bottom of their division, and all 3 of those teams are hovering towards the top or leading their division right now. First off, I'm going to ask you: do you think any of those teams can stay up there?
Looking at it, I've got to think that the Indians actually have the best choice, even though they have very few players that you've ever heard of. You've got to think it's going to be tough for the Orioles to remain atop a division that has the Yankees and the Red Sox. The Royals are 6-3, and they've hit the ball well, but their pitching is atrocious. Opponents are hitting .291 against them, scoring over 4 runs a game. So it just doesn't look like something that's sustainable for the Royals. And then the Indians are doing it with a mix of hitting and pitching. They're top 10 in 3 of the 4 major categories pitching-wise, and they're in the top 10 of runs, batting average, on-base percentage, and slugging percentage hitting-wise. So if they can just continue to be a little above average, just like they are right now, I could see them winning a not great division.
Yeah, a stat I saw the other day, unfortunately for Red Sox fans like Hank, is no team starting 0-6 has ever made the playoffs. So, do you think that this team could break that?
I do. They are a very talented team. They got off to a bad start. They met a hot Rangers team, which was part of the problem. But yeah, there's no reason to think they can't. It was the Red Sox who broke the No team has ever come behind from a 3-game hole to win a playoff series. I mean, why not the Red Sox again this year? They're very talented. Josh Beckett pitched a great game last night, and if he continues to pitch like that, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball if he pitches like he did last night. So they can do it, but I'm not sure they will.
I agree. They're probably the most talented team in baseball, but it would not surprise me if the Orioles pulled out a wild card or something in that division. I don't know how it'll happen, but if it does happen, it won't surprise me in the slightest. Ever since Buck Showalter took a hold of that team, they're like a completely different team.
Yeah, I watched them play against the Rangers a little bit. They actually handed the Rangers their only loss of the season. They definitely get it done in the field, not behind the plate. Vladimir Guerrero is their leading hitter, averaging with a 270 average. And you've got to think somewhere along the line, stats are going to even out, and someone's going to get above 300 just because every team seems to have at least a couple guys hitting over 300. Mm-hmm. But offensively, they are in the bottom third of all the major categories.
Yeah. The NHL playoffs start soon. You watching?
Yeah, me and Luke Walton, we're going to grab a beer and kick back and not watch the NHL playoffs.
Joey would be sad to hear that.
Sorry, Joey. The NHL playoffs are starting.
They are starting. I heard someone tell me that.
Yeah.
First, actually, we should have mentioned this at the top. We're very disappointed in some of you. No one could find an Aaron Carter CD? Nobody?
It was going to be worth a jersey. Did anybody even listen to this?
Yes.
Anybody?
Joey hates Aaron Carter, so he said he refuses to do it.
Joey, there's absolutely no reason to hate Aaron Carter. I just want you to know that.
But nobody gets a jersey because no one participated. But next week, we'll talk about the NBA playoffs, which will have started. And so that'll be more exciting and a little more up our alley, too.
Yeah, it'll be definitely more up our alley. We'll have the playoffs, then we'll kind of get into some draft stuff after that's over, but that's a long way away.
It feels like a long way, but it's really not, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah, you have anything else to add? Short podcast.
Yeah, the people are gonna love it. I guess just get buckets, you know?
Yeah, just get some buckets. Just get buckets.
I would go. I don't know. I would probably go get some buckets if I were you.
If you have nothing going on, even if you have something going on, you should probably get buckets. Can't hurt.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe if you're listening to this, you should take off your headphones right about now and go get some buckets.
Yeah, it's a good idea. All right, well, we'll see y'all next week.
Get buckets. Get back into our game.